Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner. Oh, what is going on with the light? It keeps going red and not red. But anyway, this is Virginia Milner for the DeKalb County Library System. And it really is looking weird. I hope that comes out okay. I have another project for you, obviously. And this one was a kind of a special request. One of the librarians, Effie, asked if I could do something with lava beads, which I'm going to do. Yay. I got some really neat lava beads, all different shapes. Isn't that awesome? And so I thought we could put together a nice bracelet. You know, the beauty of lava beads is their inconsistencies. Look at those little, oh, I mean, they're lava. What can I say? So I thought I would we could put together a bracelet, a link bracelet with some of the lava beads and some red jasper. And I don't know what's going on with the lighting. I hope it comes out all right, but it keeps flashing red and then kind of going red and then lighter and then red. And it's kind of freaking me out a little bit, but I hope that this records okay. And we're going to move on forward. We're going to make a link bracelet out of lava beads. I have a couple of different shapes that I'm going to use. And I'm also going to use some red jasper, which I also used in another, put the red up there and it turns red, which I also used in another video. And I'm going to use that to give this just a little bit of contrasting color. So anyway, let's get going because I'm kind of anxious to see how this one turns out. I think it's going to be pretty. I love the lava beads and I am looking forward to getting started. So here we go. I've kind of laid out what I'm thinking in regard to the design. I like to lay it out along a ruler so that I can make sure it's going to fit my wrist or the wrist of whomever I am making it for. So I'm using two types of lava beads. This one is this nice, it is a square, but the way it's drilled, it goes from corner to corner. So it's kind of awesome. Get down here a little closer so you can see a little bit better. It's very, very dark. The color of it is so dark that I'm not getting a good read of it. I hope you are. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be doing. That, and I have some little 6mm rounds, lava beads, and these little red Jasper chips that I'm going to use just to give it some color. But I wanted to use these as a focal, kind of a centerpiece. So those are going to be on going around the top of my wrist. These are going around the side and the back. That's what I've come up with. And then we're going to be using some jump rings to hook it all together and then make a clasp at the end. And the kind of clasp I make is going to be determined by how much space I have at the end in order to finish it off. So this is a very, very as we go procedure. I do know how I want to do it. I want to wrap my beads like that. I thought that would be really neat. So that's what we're going to do. Give it something, give it a little different twist. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to grab some 20 gauge wire, which is one of the things that we need. We'll be using 20 gauge throughout, round nose pliers, cutters, chain nose or square nose pliers, and a ruler to measure out our wire. So I'm going to grab my wire. Let me scooch these out of the way. And the first thing I want to show you how to do is how to do this little wrap that I did on my lava beads. Just something to give it a little bit of interest. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is give myself a good, these are about, from end to end, the way they're drilled, about 3/4 of an inch long from end to end. So what I'm going to do is give myself enough wire to affect my wrap, which is going to be a funnel wrap. One of the things that I really love, I love these funnel wraps. And then I'm going to thread the wire down and wrap it on the other side as well, just so I have a little bit of something extra on the other side. So that's what we're going to do. So I need a good 2 inches, 2 inches on each side to make my funnel wrap and to have enough extra to string it back across and make this little decoration. So I'm going to give myself a good 7 inches of wire just to be safe. This is 3/4 inches from drilled in to drilled in. So I'm going to give myself another a little more than 6 more inches in order to do all of the wrap that I want. In fact, I'm going to give myself, let's see, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 through there. I'm going to give myself 8 inches. And if I have to cut some off, that's fine, but it's better than running out. So I'm going to give myself 8 inches of wire. Pretty sure when I did this one, I only did 7, but I want to be absolutely certain. So I'm going to go ahead and thread my wire through. Ooh, it's tight, very tight. If I can't get it through one side, I go through the other side. That is the absolute joy, one of the absolute joys of natural items. So I want to thread it through the center here. Give myself an equal amount of wire on each side. So I've got about, not quite 4 inches on this side, and about 3.5 on this side. So I'm going to scooch this down just a little bit. There we go. So 1, 2, 3.5 on this side, a little more than 3.5. Yeah, there we go. So then what I'm going to do is bend my wire back on one side, just as a marker. And I'll do the same on the other side as another marker. So I have this. So now I'm going to start by making a loop. I take my roundness pliers, and I want a nice sized loop so that I can have enough to funnel. And you don't really need to use your pliers for this. You can just use your fingers and make your loop. I'll show you both ways. It's very simple. This is very bendable wire, very malleable. So I just want a nice loop there. Here's the one. And I'm going to do it on the other side too, just so I can make sure they're pretty comparable in size. So make my loop on the other side, freeforming it. Just adjust it until they both look about the same size. And if you need to use your pliers at some point, feel free to do that, which I'm going to do. Just roll it down a little, give it some shape. Yeah, let's check that out. And then round that out nicely. So there are my loops. So the first thing I'm going to do is wrap around the one side. I'm just going to wrap it around once, and I want to hold on to it. I like these really big flat ones. I'm going to hold on to it so that it doesn't roll around on me, and just wrap just under the loop, just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just wrap under the loop. Let's take that around one time, all the way around. There we go. It's one loop all the way around. Now I want to go up to the other side. And I can see one of these is shorter than the other. So I'm going to start with the short one, and that'll give me an idea of how much I have left to use for the other side, how many wraps I can do. So I'm going to take my wire, my tail of wire, and I'm going to string it up the flat edge of my bead, like so. And I'm going to wrap it around my loop, like that. Just string it up the flat of my bead, wrap it around the loop on the other side. And now I'm going to continue to wrap up the bead, or up the loop. Until I have a little funnel. There we go. And then I'm going to cut off the wire right in the middle of the loop. Let's clip it off. And then I'm going to take that little end and push it down inside the funnel. There we go. I'm going to neaten this up a little bit. I'm just going to, there we go. There's my funnel. It's not as big as I would have liked it to be, unfortunately. Probably could have used a little extra wire, but that's okay. It works. And then on the other side, again, we're freeforming, so it's not going to always be exact. So then I'm going to bring the other side. Here's the other side. I'm going to bring that down the back of my bead and wrap it around. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to do both sides if you don't want to. Only one is really going to show. But if you want to do both sides, you can. I just chose to do that. So now I'm going to wrap my wire around my loop, just like I did on the other side. Give myself a little funnel. And because I only did 2.5 wraps on this side, I'll do the same on this side, even though I have enough to do 3. Yeah, I could have done 3 on this side. So this was a longer one, but that's all right. And I'm going to clip off my wire right in the middle of my loop. And I'll push down the tail into my funnel. Get down there. There it is. And I need to neaten this up a little bit, push it down in there. Not cooperating. Here we go. It's giving me a hard time. I don't know why. There, finally, gee, nee. There we go. Now, you can leave it like that, or you can give it a little squiggle if you want to. I just kind of kept them kind of graceful. I didn't do, sometimes I like to do a little lightning bolt, but I decided to just leave it a little, give it a little bit of a graceful curve and leave it like that. So there we go. There's one. And I'm going to do the other one. One more time. Let's do one more. This time I'm going to give myself 8.5 inches of wire, just so I can have a little more to work with. So I'm going to go 8.5 inches of wire. And that's another thing. Sometimes these aren't all the exact same size. So you kind of have to, I would give myself at least 3.5 inches on each side to work with. So I'm going to give myself 8.5 inches of wire. And those of you who get kits are going to have plenty of wire to work with. Do not fear. Okay, so now, because these are, it's got holes all over because it's lava, it's kind of hard to find where the drill is. I think it's right there because it's got holes everywhere. But I think it's right there on that tip. Let's try it and see. Nope. Is that it? There it is. Yay. Doesn't want to go in that side. So let's go to the other side. Is that it? Yes. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh, doesn't want to go through. There we go. Finally. No, it's drilled. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. We've got our 8.5 inches. This side is 4. This side is a little less than 4, about 4 3/4. So let's scooch that down until we have 3 3/4 on this side and still 4. Okay. Okay, so 3 7/8. All right, there we go. That's more like it. Bend one side back, bend the other side back, have my little zigzag. Let's make some loops. All right. Oh, I showed you how to do it with just your fingers on that one, so I'll show you how to do it with the pliers on this one. So just put my pliers in, wrap my wire over the pliers till I have a nice loop. And I want it to be a generous size again, so that I can funnel it. So I want it to be a good size. Again, we're free-forming, so you don't have to stress out about everything being so perfect unless that is your brand, in which case you do you. All right, let's see. This one looks a little smaller than the other one, so let's open that up and make it a little bit bigger. There we go. There. So I'm going to give myself the one wrap around just under my loop. Here we go, and do the same on the other side. Wrap that around. Okay. Now, let's make our little design. So I'm going to bring it around. Just to be very clear, for the sake of clarity here, I am coming around what I'm calling the front. This is my front. Not really, but this is the one side. I'm coming around from the back. So my wrap goes around here, around the back, and then it continues. Just so that we have some nice continuity there. It continues around, and then it comes around the other way. So I'm coming around from the back over to the front and around the back of my loop. And then I'm going to wrap up the loop until I have a nice funnel. Yeah, I can see this one's going to come out much prettier. Isn't that lovely? A nice little funnel. 8.5 inches. That was the key. And then I'm going to clip it off right in between, in the center of my loop. Clip. And then I'm going to push down the tail into the funnel. There we have it. Neat. Neat, neat, neat. So let's do the same thing on this side. We're coming around from the back, going around to the front and across, and around my loop. So I'm going to wrap it up the loop till I have a nice funnel. This is the second one, and this is the third one. And clip it off in the back. Isn't that pretty? I love it. Very pretty. And then we just clip it off in the back, right in between, in the middle of the loop. Hold on to that tail so it doesn't go off to parts unknown, and push down that tail. There. There's my funnel. And there's my nice wrapped bead. Isn't that pretty? Now, I have my 3 focal beads all finished. And what I thought I was going to do was wrap these little tiny ones, but they're so tiny, I kind of almost hesitate to do that. So what I'm going to do is put those to the side for the moment. Got a nice simple wrap on my chips. I'm going to wrap that one. And then I'll see how much more length I need, and that'll help me determine how I want to wrap these, or if I want to wrap them with some design on them or not. They're so tiny, I kind of hate to cover them up. So I'm going to grab my chips. Here's an easy way that I've determined to decide how much, when you have something that's unevenly cut like this, it's kind of hard to decide or to determine how much wire you need. So one of the ways that I've decided to do that, if you're not working with a spool, and those of you who have a kit will have a very long piece of wire, you can leave the wire intact. You can feed your chips on. Now remember, these are chips, and so kind of have to play with them to get them to lay the way you want. So let's put these chips on and see how I want them to conform to each other. Okay. Good. That worked out very nicely. They all backed up, butted up to each other just perfectly. Now I'm just going to do a simple wrap on here. So I'm going to give myself about 2 inches in order to wrap it. So I've got 2 inches there, which might be more than I need, but that's okay. I'm going to bend that back. I'm going to measure off 2 inches on the other side, and I'm going to cut. There we go. So again, I've kind of given myself a little zigzag on here. I'm going to make my loop on one end. Just wrap that tail around until I get down to the side of my beads, and then bring it all the way under my pliers until it's in between the pliers and the beads. And now I'm going to wrap. I can just wrap it with the pliers on the inside of the loop. Stop it. Or I can wrap it with my pliers on the side, whichever. And I'm just going to give it 2 wraps so it doesn't overpower everything. And cut. See, very pretty wrap, pretty little wrap with a cap on top. Clip it off. Grab that tail so it doesn't fly away from me. Clip that off. Get rid of the tail and cinch in the end. Here we go. Nice, neat, and tidy. Go to the other side and do the same thing. Grab my pliers, slide them under the wire. And if you ever have a question of how far down you want to go with your loop, just slide your pliers into the one that you've already made. And that'll give you an approximate location as to where you were the first time. A little tip. Wrap that around the top of my pliers, underneath the pliers, and on top of the beads. So just right in between the two. And I showed you how to wrap it with the pliers in the loop. So here's how you can wrap it with the pliers, flat pliers on the side. There, just wrapped it around a couple of times. Have a little cap on top there. Isn't that cute? And I'm going to cut it off. Now what I like to do, here's another tip. I like to kind of hyperextend. I'm not going to go all the way around, but I like to give it a little curve like that and pull it away. And then when I cut this, it's on a curve and it's going to be going in the direction that I want it to go when I try to tuck the end under. So I've got that nice curve. Pull it away from my bead, clip it off, lose that end. Now I can just push that back under and hide the tip. There we go. Nice and neat. So that is going to go on the other side. So far, this is what I have. So I have a little over 6 inches, and I have not put on my jump rings. So let's put some jump rings on and see where we're going to go from here. That will be a determining factor of how many other things I add on. And again, you don't have to put these little colorful things in there. You can just go with one straight color if you want, but I decided to do that. Now, how to attach your jump rings. I already opened one. I'm going to go ahead and close it. The proper way to open a jump ring is to grab it on one side of the opening with your pliers, and you can take your thumb on the other side of the opening and just push down until you have an opening in the side here. Now, anybody who knows me knows I like to double up on jump rings, especially when they're open, just for the sake of safety, but it also has a nice aesthetic. I think it makes it look pretty as well. So I have 2 jump rings on there. I don't have to worry about one of them coming open and bracelet falling apart because I have a double security. Yeah, there we go. So there, that's how I do that. Now I want to attach that to, oh, see, here's my question. Should I do this or should I do this? Now I know you can't answer me, but that's the question I've been asking myself ever since I started. Do I want to do that and then add these to the side like that? Oh, that's pretty. Or do I want to keep my focal pieces together and have this on the sides with that? Oh, that's pretty. I don't know what to do. Okay, I'm going with this one. So the next thing I'm going to do is attach one of my chip links to my focal piece. So I'm going to reopen one of my jump rings and slide on my chip and close up my jump ring. Then I'm going to open the other jump ring. Slide on my chip and close the jump ring. And there's my connector. Nice. So let's connect the next one. So now I'm going to connect these center pieces together. Again, take my pliers. I'm going to show you a second way to properly open a jump ring. The proper way is just to open it, kind of flip it up or down. You don't want to pull it out to the side because you'll distort and destroy the shape of your jump ring. So now you can take two pairs of pliers, one on one side of the loop or the opening, one on the other side, and just twist. And again, I have a nice open jump ring. So I'm going to attach my jump ring to the other side of my focal piece, one of my focal pieces, and then I'm going to attach that to the second focal piece and close it. Go. Make sure it's completely closed. And add a second jump ring for security. Again, using the 2 plier method. Need some more space over here. There we go. And slide it in one of my focal loops and over to the other focal loop. and close. And I'm just going to squeeze it closed. Ta-da! Neat, huh? So there's two pieces together. And let's do the third. Open up my jump ring. My pliers are over there, so I'm just going to use my finger like I did the first time. Pliers on one side of the opening, some on the other side of the opening. Push it down. Slide on my focal piece and my other focal piece. And close it. And make my adjustments because it's not quite closed. I'm just going to wiggle it in place with two pliers. There we go. Get over there. Ooh, that was not what I wanted you to do, but let's see. Yes, closed. Success. Let's grab another jump ring. Push it open. String it on my focal loop. Now make sure you avoid the other ring. You don't want to loop these rings together. The rings need to remain separate. You're always going through the loop of your bead and then through the other loop of your bead, not your jump ring. And close. Nice. So far, so good. So let's go ahead and put on my other embellishment, my other red Jasper, set of red Jasper chips. Open, slide it on my focal loop, slide it on the Jasper loop, and close. Sometimes it's easier to use two pliers because you have so many moving parts. See? Moving parts. Get back on there. All right, that worked. And let's do the other. Oh, not quite as closed up as I would like. Thank you very much. There. Grab another jump ring. Open it up using the push method. Slide it into my one focal loop. And from the focal loop, we'll go to my chip loop and close. Nice and tight. There we go. So here's what I have so far. One of the neat things about a link bracelet is if I decided that I really did want those in here instead, I could just take it loose and do that. But I think I'm good. And I think I'm going to close this up a little tighter. You can go back through and make sure everything is looking the way you want it. Now, let's see how much I have. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. So I have a little over 5.5 inches. And by the time I get my jump rings in, that's going to bring it over to about 6. So each one of these is probably going to be another 3/4 of an inch. So 5.5, 6.5, 7 inches. That's good. That works. So let's wrap up my other. Yay. I was hoping I'd be able to use at least two of these. Let's wrap up my other lava beads. And I think I will do this little wrap just see what it looks like. If I don't like it, I can cut it off. So what I need for this is 6 millimeter, which is about 3/8 of an inch. It's not too big. So what I'm going to do is give myself about 2.5 inches on each side to accommodate the wrap that's going to go over the top. That's probably more than I need. As a matter of fact, I'm probably just going to give myself 4 inches. And that's going to be more than I need to, but we're going to do it and see how much I need to cut off and go from there. I love random work, don't you? 4 inches. Let's slide that baby into my bead. Again, holes everywhere. Where's the drill? There it is. All right, so there we go. They have 4 inches here. It's about 1 3/4 inches. 1 3/4 inches, a little more than 1 3/4 inches. And that's 1 inch and a little more than 1 7/8 inches. Let's slide that over just a little. Give myself a bend. Give myself another bend. And let's get to work. All right, so I'm going to make a loop. This is a tiny bead, so your loop doesn't have to be that big. I'm going to go about 1/3 of the way down my pliers with my wire, and I'm going to loop that tail around my pliers, turn my pliers, and then bring my tail of my wire in between my pliers and my bead. And you can see that this the loop is just a little bit smaller than my bead so that it's not overpowering. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Give myself a little loop, go 1/3 of the way down my pliers. Where's my camera? There we go. Let's get a little closer. There we go. 1/3 of the way down my pliers. Wrap the tail over the pliers. Turn the pliers until they're over top of my bead, and then bring that wire in between my pliers and my bead. So there we go. Make this one a little smaller to fit the other one. About the same size. There we go. All right, so now I want to wrap once. Wrap once around the stem of my loop, just below my loop. Let's take it around once. Do the same thing on the other side. Wrap it around once. Move that out of the way. Now, from here, I'm going to make a little wrap. I'm going to see how I like it. If I don't like it, if I think it's covering up too much of my bead, I'm going to cut it off. But let's go ahead and bring the wire across the bead. Oh, I like it. What do you think? Here. Just wrapping it around the bead a little bit. Kind of gives it a little bit of doesn't have to be much. Just wrapping that around. And then I'm going to give it one wrap around the stem of the loop, base of the loop, and cut it off. All right, let's clip that off. Tap that end down. Here we go. And there we have it. Now, my question is, should I do it on the other side? Don't have to. That's pretty. Let's see what it looks like. And again, I'm coming from the back here, from one side here, and going over the other side. I don't know, I think it kind of completes it, but I think that's too much. Just gives it a complete wrap all the way around. Kind of a spherical look. I kind of like it. I kind of liked it the other way too, with just one side. I'm just going to do the one side. Just going to do the one side. So instead, I'm just going to give it one more wrap. No, I'm not. It's already wrapped enough. I don't want it to be too messy, and I don't want to overpower my bead. So it's already wrapped around once. I'm going to clip it off. And tuck the end. Here we go. Okay, so there we go. That's how that's going to look. Oh, I kind of like it. Yes, let's do the other one. We cut off about 1 inch of wire, so I really only need 3.5 or so. I'm give myself the 3.5. Grab my bead. And the one side's going to be wrapped and the other side's gonna, yeah. So I'm gonna give myself about 1 inch. I need a good 2 inches to do my fancy schmancy side. I'm gonna give myself about 1.5 inches to do my standard wrap. And bend it. You see that? I think I was on camera. I'm gonna bend that the other way. And I'm going to go in with my pliers about 1/3 of the way down. Wrap over top of the pliers and all the way down in between my loop and my bead. I'm going to give it one wrap around, because remember, this is going to come over and wrap too, so I don't want too many wraps. I'm going to give it one wrap around, and I'm going to cut it off. The last time, because I didn't know what I was going to do with this, I didn't cut it off. I'm going to wrap it around and cut it, because I know I'm not going any further with that. Snip that off, get rid of the end, and tuck it in. So now I'm going to wrap this side. Give myself a nice little loop, go 1/3 of the way down my pliers. Wrap over the top of my pliers and turn them, and then bring the wire down in between the pliers and my bead. I'm going to wrap it around twice, because this already has one wrap, and it's going to end up with another wrap over here. So it's going to have 2 wraps on this side. If I want it to be the same, I need to wrap 2 wraps on this side. So once and twice. And then I'm going to bring it from the back around the front, like so. And wrap it around the other side. That wasn't supposed to happen. And wrap it around the other side. One time. So now I have 2 wraps over here. And I had just enough with the 3.5. Just a little bit, just a little tiny bit. Get over there. There. So there are my 2 little wrapped 6 millimeters. And because I wrapped it on just one side, I don't think it looks too overpowering. So let's see what we have now. I need to add the jump rings, but I think we're on track. Let's add the jump rings. So first jump ring. And the push down method. String it onto my chip loop and add my bead. Close it up. Nice and tight. There we go. And grab another jump ring. Open it. String it on to my 2 links. Again, avoiding the other jump ring. I don't want to string through the jump ring with a jump ring. That's not the goal here. There we go. Ooh, isn't that pretty? That is pretty. I must say so myself. Next jump ring. Open. Thread it on. Close it up. Second jump ring. Open. That one was hard to open. That's where the 2 plier method can come in handy. You have some really strong jump rings, which I do. Okay, thread that on. Close it up. I'm going to go back and look at my jump rings, make sure they look the way I want them to look. Nice and secure. Nice and closed. There we go. Okay, close that up. And you can go back, and that's another good thing about a link bracelet. You can go back and make any corrections that you need to. All right, now let's see where we are. Oh, that's pretty. So now I just need my clasp. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is make a, what kind of clasp do I want? Because I don't need much. I do not need much more on here. So I'm just going to make a split ring to put on each side. You know what? No, I'm not. Let me see here. I think I'm just going to go with a regular hook, a split ring on one side, and a lobster claw on the other. I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't have any closed copper rings, so we get another little lesson on how to make a split ring. So we're just going to make a split ring to go on one side, and I'm going to use a lobster claw on the other side, or do I want to make a hook? I think I'm going to make a hook to go on the other side, just because I like doing that. So I'm going to make a little what am I thinking? Oh, you know what? I think I might make this kind of a hook. I wish I could do it with the lava bead, but I think I'll make it too big, but I can do it with this little guy right here. This little red jasper. Yeah. That's what we're gonna do. But first I'm gonna make my split ring. So I'm gonna take my pliers and I'm gonna slide my wire a little more than a third of the way down my pliers. And I'm going to make a nice split ring. So I'm just gonna roll my wire around the pliers until I have a full loop. And once I have my full loop, I'm going to continue to roll it around until I have another half of a loop. And then I'm going to clip that off. I like to move it away from the loop so I don't accidentally cut the part that I don't want to cut. Clip it off and push my rings back together. So now I have a split ring. I'm going to put that on one end of my bracelet. And that was my phone, sorry. Just slide it around until it goes down into the center of my split ring, and then push the rings together again. Isn't it? And there we go. So now we're going to make this little snail hook. And I need a teeny tiny piece of bead for that. So what I'm going to do is take about 4 inches. It doesn't have to be too much. Let's go ahead and give it 4.5 inches because I don't want a huge clasp because what I have now is almost big enough for my wrist. I don't want it to be too large. So down one side, yeah. So what I'm going to do is put this in between. I'm going to make a little loop, just kind of a half loop, and cut this off. Give myself about 4.5 inches. And I'm going to feed my little bead down into the little bend that I have here. I can either put it on this side or I can slide it in from the other side. But I have a little catch-all. It's got a little curve in it, so it'll hold it. And then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to fold that little end down over my bead. It's kind of curve it around against my bead. So there's the little end. You can see that. And I'm going to push it down until it's resting against the bead. Get it as close as I can get. So there we go. And now I'm going to wrap my wire around the bead. And I like to curve it. It makes it easier to wrap around if I already have a curve started. Curve it around. Around my bead. Just have to be patient. Here we go. It's time to wrap it around. It's just a beaded spiral is what we're doing here. Just keep curving. So now I have a full wrap around the bead. So now I want to wrap the wire around itself. So I'm going to grab this. Right here on the side. And you don't have to clamp down too hard because you don't want to discolor your wire. You don't want to wipe the color off. And if you don't want to have to do that, you can just hold on to it with your fingers. I was going to hold on to it with this so you could see a little better what I was doing, but I think I'm just going to use my fingers. There's the wire. I want to bring the wire around itself until I have a little spiral, and you can kind of see that forming. Okay. That nice little spiral coming up there. Yeah. Let's see where we are. That's going to be good. And then when I get the spiral, the spiraled part of my my clasp, the size that I want it, and I don't want it too big because I don't want it to overpower anything. I'm going to stop, and I need about an inch, no more than that, of wire in order to make my little clasp part, this little part. So I need about an inch just beyond where it's wrapped. So here's where my wrap ends. Here's an inch. I'm going to clip that off. And you can make it bigger if you want, but I can see that that's going to be enough for my wrist. So got my inch. About 7/8 of an inch, which is good. And now I want to make a little tiny loop right there on the tip because my hook is going to go back around this way. So this is the way it's going to go. It's going to go around that way. So I want to make a loop going in the direction of my spiral. So here's my end. I'm going to make a loop that's going facing down towards my spiral. Take the very tip of my pliers, apply it to the very tip of my wire. Make sure nothing's sticking out the back. And I'm going to make a tiny little loop. I'm just going to go about 3/4 of the way around my loop. I'm not going to go all the way because I want to make it as small as possible. Let's get enough camera here. I'm just taking it all the way around. That's about 3/4 of the way. That's good. Then I'm going to take my pliers, flat pliers, and I'm going to squeeze the bottom of this, which is the tip, up towards the head or the top. And just nice and easy. I just want to squeeze it into a little nub. I can't get it that small with the pliers. So now I have a little nub there, just big enough to fit through my split ring, which is exactly what I want. So now I have my little nub. And now I'm going to make my little loop. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I'm going to go down to almost to the very back. So I want a nice swan-like neck and a nice loop there. And I'm going to wrap my pliers towards my spiral until I have a shepherd's hook. So there's my nice little hook. So let's measure. Measure, measure, measure. So now I need to attach my shepherd's hook to my bead. And it's going to be crazy perfect size. Okay, so what I'm going to do is use 2 jump rings to attach my bead to my hook. So I'm going to open up my jump ring, slide it on my bead. Oops, there we are. Slide it on my bead. And then slide that on and down in the spiral of my hook. And if for some reason it's too tight down there, just open it up. Just kind of open it up a little bit so you have a little more space. So now it's a little more open down there at the bottom. Have my jump ring, slide it in there. Here we go. And slide it into the loop of my bead and close. Okay. Yeah. And let's do the same thing with the second jump ring. Now, the 2 jump ring process is my own. These are very, very strong. I can barely get them open. So if you're very, very, you feel that your jump rings are really secure, you don't have to use the 2. I like the 2 because I like the extra security. I also like the look of it. I think especially when you're working with spirals, having a double jump ring makes it look like less of a connector and more as part of the pattern. And I like that about it. See how they just look like they're a continuation of the spiral. And now remember how I opened this up a little bit down here? Now I can push it back to a little closer together. I don't want to push it too close because I want this to have some movement. But there, ladies and gents, is my bracelet. Nice. My nice lava bead bracelet. Hee hee. And I like to kind of back this end up against the rings so that it is nice and close and I don't have to worry about this sliding out. But now we have a pretty clasp to go with the rest of the bracelet, and it matches. Oh, it matches the embellishments. I love it. Love, love, love. That is so pretty. I'm looking at it on the camera now and it's like, yay. Ta-da, what can I say? That is gorgeous. Oh, okay. Let's try it on, and so you can see what it looks like on a person. I would put it on my display, but that display, the arm on that display is so tiny, it's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm gonna bring it up to the big camera so that you can see. I'm always trying to fasten this with my glasses on, and when I get close, I can't see what I'm doing. Get over there. Get over there. Get over there. Ah, there it is. Oh, that's absolutely lovely. I love it. Let's see if I can get a better picture. What do you think of that? I love it. All right, so that's it. That is our program for today, and I think it is a success. I certainly am going to enjoy my bracelet. That is a fact. So there's my little clasp, my little, where is it? There it is. See, it blends in some ways so well. I can't even find the clasp, and that is so neat. There it is. Oh, I love this. Thank you, Effie, for this suggestion. I had meant to do this before. I had to substitute a different bracelet in the last series of classes that I did because they didn't come. It took forever to get them. They were so unusual, and I really wanted them just to have something other than just your usual round lava beads, which are very, very pretty, obviously. But I saw these and I thought, do I want to go to the extra expense? That's always the first question. And then I said, yeah, because they are just beautiful. And I love the fact that they're so different. I actually have some other different ones. I got these. I mean, they're so different, such a different shape. And I actually got some other different ones as well, but they were really big. And I said, well, we're just going to have to do a lava necklace because I got some beautiful barrel shaped ones. I'm so glad I got them. It was a little expensive, but whatever. Those of you who get kits, congrats. And you're going to get some of these really pretty diamond shaped lava beads. They're actually square. I thought they were square, but the way they're drilled, they come out a diamond shape. I mean, I didn't think I'd ever seen anything quite like that. And I just absolutely adore it. So that's what you're going to get. You're going to get some diamonds shaped lava beads and some round lava beads. You're going to get 20 gauge wire. And I'm not, these are red Jasper chips, but each one of the kits is going to have a different type of chip. I started to go with aventurine because I thought green with the black is absolutely gorgeous, but I had already put out the red Jasper and I said, stop. I kept changing it. Oh, let's get a different one. And I decided to just go with the red Jasper, but you will each have all kinds of different things. I have so many pretty chips that I haven't had the opportunity to use. And with these really nice diamond shaped beads, it kind of gives it a jagged, freeform feel to have the chips along with the bumpiness of the lava beads and the shape of the diamond. It just all came together. So you'll see all different shades in the kits. Everybody, well, I'm not going to say everybody's will be different because I only have so many different colors, but there will be quite a few different ones, and you do not have to design it the exact same way I did. You saw I was fidgeting about which way I want to put, what do I want to put next? I knew I didn't want to just alternate. Diamond, circle, chip, diamond, circle, chip. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something different, and I knew I wanted these diamonds to be focal point. Then it was just a question of whether or not I wanted the chips in between, or if I wanted the round ones in between. You can design this any way you want, but I just wanted to give you the basics. Make sure you have your ruler. Make sure you try it on as you go so that you can see what more you need to add. If you don't want to add the chips, you don't have to. Use them for something else. Just stick with your stick with your lava beads. You will have enough lava beads to just make a complete lava bead bracelet if you don't want to do anything else. And then you can just add more jump rings to extend it to the length that you want. You will have lava beads, 2 types. You'll have jump rings, 20 gauge wire, and chips. That's what you'll need. That's what you'll have. And that takes care of today's portion of our program. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll come back, and I hope you'll let me know what you think of things. I really like to get the feedback so I can know what needs to be improved upon, what needs to be different. The lighting was acting really strange today, so I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. I hope it's going to come out okay, and I hope I don't have to do this all over again. But I think it'll be all right. And we will see you next time. Until then, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week, stay safe. I had a little COVID scare myself, but I'm fine. Negative, fine. Can't say the same for the other 3 guys in my office, poor guys. But I've been very, 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 very careful. And so I was the 1 out of 4 that came out negative, and I am very glad. So anyway, stay safe, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.